Hello and welcome to West Country Wanderings. We're back here on the Severn Way. This is Severn Way number 11. In fact, I'm standing on the River Severn, as it were. I'm at the bridge, the old bridge at Atcham, about, well, I think it was it 3-4 miles to the east of the town of Shrewsbury. That there is Atcham's church, and the River Severn is just below me down there. We've got quite a walk today. We're making our way towards the town of Ironbridge in Shropshire. It's just a few miles south of Telford and probably about 20 miles to the west of Wolverhampton. Ironbridge is remarkable. It is, I'm sure most of you, or probably all of you know watching this, the very first iron bridge in the entire world. And it makes an incredible spectacle spanning the Severn Valley. Yes, valley, because here at the moment, this part of Shropshire, we're going across very flat land. As we make our way towards the south and to the east, the River Severn starts to cut its way through the land into a deeper and deeper valley, and we'll be following that valley for the next several episodes here on West Country Wanderings as well. Our journey continues south towards the city of Bristol. Quite a long walk. It's 18 kilometres, just over 18 kilometres. I've got some interesting things to show you along the way, so why not join me back here on West Country Wanderings for the Severn Way. It will be difficult vlogging on this section because we've got a very busy road. I don't want you to suffer with the road noise too much. But we come up to a bridge across the tributary, one of the River Severn's tributaries. In fact, it's called the River Turn. And when that turns, and I turn off this main road, we'll then be coming up to something rather interesting. It's Atcham Park behind me, the other side of that wooden fence. But yeah, it's a deer park, also a large house as well, all the usual things, Attingham Park. Actually, I think I said Atcham Park, Attingham Park in there. So I'm currently standing on, excuse the traffic noise, we'll be away from that soon, Turn Bridge. That is the River Turn down there, and behind me there is the house. That's where it is, somewhere around there. I can't quite see it because the light's in my eyes, sun's in my eyes. Attingham Park, just over the fields there. So this is where we turn right off the busy Shrewsbury-Telford road towards Ironbridge, and there you can see where we're headed next. And here we have a useful little Severn Way sign telling us to turn right down there. Now, after you've turned off the road towards Telford, come on the quieter road, still busy-ish, Ironbridge on the main road is that way, you then need to turn right down here. This little sign says unsuitable for HGVs, but there's no Severn Way sign here. Well, there may have been, and it's got dismantled, destroyed, whatever, that we've come across on the Severn Way, sadly. So this should take us to the Roman city of Wroxeter. I was in Bath, which of course is a Roman city as well, Aquasulis, with fellow YouTuber Louise from Southwest Sundays. Hi Louise, thank you for the contributions to that video, by the way. So really great going around Bath, really enjoyed that. So unlike Bath, this is no longer a city, a working city, like obviously Bath is a very, very vibrant city here, or just a sign there for National Trust is more campground, so they use that as a camping site as part of the Attingham Park estate. Sorry, I digress. So yeah, when you see Wroxeter, Roman city, don't expect it to be a city as we know it today. But it was once a very important site of Roman Britain occupation in these parts, in the Welsh Marches, in the western part, Midlands of England. And they used it as an important base, a strategic base. This is long before Telford's A5 and all that, and all the railways and canals. But yes, well, we'll see what the remains are here on the ground. Now away from all that traffic and the traffic noise, start to really enjoy the walk now. I love roads with green strips down the middle, kind of nature's middle of the road sign, but of course you couldn't just drive down one section here. It doesn't replace a white line. You couldn't get a white line running down the middle here, but usually a good indication of a quiet lane, isn't it? It was nice to see as well. Now I think I can see Sabrina over to the right. So since Atcham, this will be our first sighting. And it does go in lots of meanders. There's a big meander before it gets to Ironbridge, and I'll hopefully be able to show you that too. You can also see out towards the Wrekin, and if you're into walking in the Shropshire Hills, and obviously that is outside of my area that I cover, so it's not something I'll be doing on the channel. You can catch a train to, I think it's Wellington, and then walk up the Wrekin from there. There's a sign on the gate there saying that that is part of a working farm, and it was also the city limits of the old Roman city here in Wroxeter. The church is down by the river. We'll look at that shortly. We're going to make our way towards the left to see what remains there are here in Shropshire, almost next to the Severn Way. The Severn Way actually goes down that way towards the church. I can just see the tip of the church there, but we need to go left towards the entrance. I believe it's under the care of English Heritage, and we'll go and have a look. So here we are, Wroxeter Roman City. It extends all over that way, and just over that side is Watling Street, the Roman road. On the other side of that has been a recreation using original Roman methods of the Roman bathhouse, and we're going to have a look at that shortly. But before we do that, we'll have a little tour around here. I'm going to show you what you can see here too. Now what we're looking at here is Roman baths. That was the hot room, and those blocks there were for the underfloor heating. To the right of that was the warm room, and to the left of that was where the furnace was to provide the heat for them both. Now you have to imagine that this would have one time had a huge roof on the top of it, of course, and it's only the outer wall that currently survives. The inner wall had its brickwork stolen some time ago. Now this here is an unusual feature in Roman Britain, and it's an open air bathing pool, presumably because of the weather. It was probably colder than in Roman Britain too, though I'm not sure about that, because they had vineyards here too. They weren't popular in Roman Britain, and this one fell out of use and was filled in, and of course it has now been re-excavated, so you can see what it looks like. And there's the bathing pool from a different angle. Certainly a windy spot here today, but it's not a cold one. We're towards the end of October, and it's forecast to be about 20 degrees today. I think it's something like 18 at the moment. And here we can see that the baths were extended after the original building from AD 55, probably around AD 100. This would have been a corridor through the city here, and it runs parallel to Watling Street. Means of access from the basilica to the latrines. This area here would have been where the marketplace was, and ahead was the entrance to a building thought to have been the market hall. It was constructed and would have had its own colonnaded courtyard. So now we've crossed Watling Street, which is just between those two rows of fences there. This is the townhouse. Excuse the noise to the right, that's a tractor cutting a hedge. This was built in 2011 as part of a Channel 4 programme called Rome Wasn't Built in a Day, using traditional Roman techniques. It's currently being restored. And the sign says there that often townhouse owners would rent out parts of the house to tenants who then use that effectively as shops to sell their own goods. And that's what we can see here, which would have been used for selling poultry and meat. Oh, now this looks very impressive. I love the colour scheme, which is obviously a Mediterranean colour, which is probably what they would have used, although of course it's only an estimation. We've now left the Roman city of Wroxeter and come to Wroxeter Church. Sadly, it's no longer used for regular services, but it's in the good care of the church's Conservation Trust and in good order inside. And I'll just do a couple of video clips to show you my tour that I did just now. So a bit more road walking at the moment. Now we've left Wroxeter behind us that way. Sun's come out again. And it is really warmed up now. As I say, it's about 19-20 degrees, which is very unusual for October. I don't mind it when it's colder because you can always wrap up the cold. It's the rain that puts a dampener on getting out and about, of course, because that makes filming extremely nigh on impossible. And that's why I haven't been able to do an extra Severn Way. I was hoping to do 3 Severn Ways this month, but just fitted this one in before the end of the month. And the month of October, that is. And we'll see how we go for the next couple of months. There is, in terms of the weather though, this is going to sound really weird, a heatwave forecast for November. I've never heard that before. I think what they mean by heatwave is warmer than average conditions. It's not. I don't think it's going to be what we had in the summer. I certainly hope not, because that really messed up my plans. That was far too hot. But yes, I think it means a lot higher than average temperatures for November. And a drier spell. Well, a drier spell is always good. Though we still do need rain to replenish the reservoirs from the drought that we had in late spring and the summer months, so we'll see how we go with that. But for today, really good walking conditions. In terms of logistics today, how did I get here? How am I getting back? Well, I didn't come by train today. I drove directly from Gloucestershire to Ironbridge. It was a very dark drive this morning, so I couldn't see much en route. It was dark when I left and hadn't lightened much by the time I got to Ironbridge, round about, well, just before 8 o'clock this morning I arrived at Ironbridge. And then I caught the bus number 19. Yes, it's the bus from Ironbridge, from the bus stop is in the car park of the Ironbridge Gorge Museum. Now, word of warning, the Ironbridge Gorge Museum is currently closed for refurbishment, so don't plan on visiting that museum at the present time. But it should reopen again, hopefully not too long. But there's loads of other museums in the Ironbridge area, and I'll tell you some more about those as we carry on today. But yeah, it's number 19, a Arriva bus even, to Shrewsbury. Now we've left that track entirely, and it's really strange. The hedges either side of me as I was walking along the track gave you some comfort, though it's a very deeply rural area, of course. Now I've come into this open field, can't see a solitary building. You do feel very exposed, with almost like a lonely feeling as you're traversing this field heading towards the village of Cressage on the Severn Way here in Shropshire. Now here the land is starting to change. Now because I've already been to Ironbridge this morning to leave my car there, ready to get back, when you get there you appreciate the landscape is entirely different to what it is here. But we're just starting to get an inkling of a taste of that. It's a bit confusing there because on the map it appears that the path goes down the bottom there following that stream on the US map. Again, apologise for shaky camera when it's so windy. But there is a Severn Way marker here on this post. So we need to go up through a bit of woodland, I think, before we join up with Sabrina. There, I think that's got it. That is the Wrekin, and that's one of two very famous hills in the Shropshire Hills. That one there is just south of the town of Wellington, which is near to the urban new town of Telford, a bit to the west of Wolverhampton. And the other famous hill in Shropshire, of course, is the Long Mynd, which is a bit further to the south and close to the town of Church Stretton. So after that track where you just saw the shot of the camera going across it, you then need to turn sharp right, which is not marked at all. In fact, I think that's the original Severn Way post there, buried in the undergrowth. And we need to go down here, and again we've come across that problem before, haven't we, where the farmer has kindly grubbed out the footpath, so we're just left with a tiny strip alongside the crops there, which is not ideal. But anyway, we need to go down there, because down there we should meet the River Severn again. And here, blink and you would miss it, been covered up with goodness only knows what on that side. Looks like a high-vis jacket. But our Severn Way actually goes down amongst the undergrowth. This'll be interesting. Well, sadly this is completely impassable. I'll just show you why. This is the Severn Way here, and you'd think it'd be maintained because it's promoted as a tourist route by Shropshire County Council, and look at the state of it. That is the Severn Way, and there is no way I can get through there. That's completely impassable. Terrible. That's a terrible state. So what I'll need to do is to retrace my steps back along the field over there towards that gate and head over towards, sorry, it's a bit overexposed there, towards the road, and make my way on the road down to Cressage. That's very annoying, but we won't let that dampen things. We will continue our journey here to Ironbridge. Severn Way is supposed to follow the banks of the River Severn at this point, and as I say, we couldn't get through because of the bramble. I've had to do a cross-country route over to the Cressage road, and I've just hopped over a gate again to get back to the River Severn, but it's a delightful spot here. This is a lovely place to stop for lunch underneath this oak tree. Beautiful bend of the River Severn here, and Cressage Bridge, which I'll just show you in a bit, is just up there. So this is a lovely relaxing spot, although of course we were supposed to be following the river down from that bank by the farm there, and say I will, like I did with Paris Council. I know the answer will probably say that they don't have anybody that they can afford to pay for looking after the rights of way, but I will still put it on there and put it on Twitter as well, because that's really poor, because it is a major tourist route, or rather should be. But I'm not taking that away from the pleasure of the day. Beautiful. It's been really mild conditions, a little bit windy, still dry, just a blue sky here and around. What we're going to do next is head towards that bridge, Cressage, cross over it and go right through the village there of Cressage. I probably won't have time to look at the church there in terms of timings, where we've now completed over halfway of the walk today. It's 18 kilometres, but I did a 1k diversion to Wroxeter Roman city and a 1k diversion back out of it again. Of course, we had that diversion there because of the bramble making that impassable as well. So that's probably added on about 3k in total. So I would have done probably 9k plus a 3k. So looking at 11, 12, and it's saying I've got about 10k to go to get us back to Ironbridge, which I'm really looking forward to showing you too. This is just an idyllic spot underneath this oak tree here. Really loving it here, just hearing the bird song around me, and just the occasional wave that's been brought up on the River Severn by the wind. So that's Cressage Bridge there. Not sure the year that it was constructed. Probably end of the 19th century. That's just a rough guess based on the design, maybe a little bit later. I'm just judging it by the one or the two bridges at Atcham. I'm just also enjoying those reflections inside the arch at the middle, or the middle, on the inside of the middle arch there. But yeah, I've just enjoyed the relaxing lunch here by the banks of the River Severn underneath that oak tree before we continue our journey here today on the Severn Way. Now, Cressage is actually famous for the Cressage oak tree. It's from the oak tree that it takes its name. And it was, I don't know the exact date, probably the 4th century, when the then Pope's emissary, St. Augustus, preached to all of the Welsh bishops underneath an oak tree in Cressage churchyard. I've just taken a very slight detour here because Cressage used to have a railway station, and it was on the Severn Valley line that ran from Shrewsbury. If you have a look at my Shrewsbury video, I visited Shrewsbury Abbey, and the line went from there down to Bridgenorth, and of course Bridgenorth going south is the current present day heritage line which goes to Kidderminster, the Severn Valley Railway of course, but this was the bit that went from Bridgenorth and carried on to Shrewsbury Abbey station. And we're just outside the village of Cressage now, and this that I'm standing on is the former trackbed of the Severn Valley Railway northern section. Moved on some 3 kilometres, about 1.8 miles since I last spoke to you around the Cressage area. We're now entering the village of Shinton. I do apologise if I said Sheniton earlier in the video, but I believe it's pronounced Shinton. If you live locally in this part of the world, please drop a comment below what is the correct pronunciation of this village. And we'll make our way through the village and continue along the Severn Way towards Buildwas and Buildwas Abbey. So the landscape around here has now changed entirely. It's become a lot steeper. We've actually come up quite a gradient from the village of Shinton. There's lots of flies around as well. Apologies for that. So yeah, I've warmed up considerably. I'm looking forward to a bit of a rest when I get to Buildwas. In fact, we go over a bridge again, another bridge, and then we cross back onto the northern side of the River Severn. Don't normally hear me say northern, it's normally east or west, but it kind of, it's the way it goes through Ironbridge Gorge. If you look at the map, you'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, it'll be the northern bank of the river. That's the word I was looking for. But I'm enjoying the walk here. So we've still got beautiful blue skies. I can't believe it's late October here in Shropshire. So we're now headed down in a wooded section into Buildwas Park until we get to the Abbey. Now after that problem with the bramble and the track that I couldn't get through well before Cressage there, I feel like I'm on a Rolls Royce of footpaths now going through Buildwas Abbey. This is delightful. Got proper tarmac, but it isn't a road as such. In a wooded glade heading down to the River Severn. You can't get any better than that. So this is a really delightful section of today's walk through this woodland here. I don't know, I need to check, but I think this was probably the former land that was once owned by Buildwas Abbey. Sorry, the sun's right behind me there, isn't it? But just move it back there we go. But delightful golden light through the trees, and the other advantage of this, because it's down on a bank and gradient, is sheltered out of that wind as well. Though the wind's not cold, it is quite breezy, and it, as I say, it was making the camera shake, and obviously got that wind noise on the old mic as well. But the colours in here are absolutely beautiful, and this is a fantastic stretch of the Severn Way. Judging by that there, that was the former railway line again, the northern part of the Severn Valley Railway. And over there is Sabrina herself, having a good meander before she gets to Ironbridge. So this is a rare survivor here. This is a gate, former crossing gate, still in use as a gate, that is clearly railway. And the railway went in that direction and down towards Ironbridge in that direction. How nature has taken over the former railway track there. And you can really sense now how the valley's sides are starting slowly to get narrower, just perceptibly narrower and deeper as we start to approach the Ironbridge Gorge. Now we are close to Buildwas Abbey. It's actually just down there in the valley behind those trees, those beautiful golden red tinged trees. You'll be able to hear the main road. That's the main road to Much Wenlock, beautiful town here in Shropshire, which I came through today, my route from Gloucestershire. And the town or village, I'm not quite sure which it is actually on the opposite side, the northern side of the River Severn. I'm not quite sure how that happened, so the settlement grew on the other side of the river to the Abbey. You can actually see Buildwas there. Beautiful little church. Yeah, that's one. It looks like it's a village. It's not actually that big, is it? But yeah, that's Buildwas on the opposite side of the Severn. Severn's just down in the bottom there, but it is hidden by the shrubbery at the moment. So this is Buildwas Abbey. It's a 12th century Cistercian abbey built for the monks, of course. It has those Romanesque arches, really striking survivor here. That's an impressive sight. I'm glad I did a little diversion. It isn't on the Severn Way itself. I walked about a kilometre and a half down the car park drive just to arrive here, and it's owned by English Heritage. And they would have had a strict daily routine, the monks that were here, the Cistercian monks, very early rises. They would have had plain song before breakfast, and then cleaning duties after breakfast, of course, and then prayer, then the first morning service. So this would have been the Abbey's precinct. If you can just imagine it like it was a cathedral. This I would have been standing now, what would have been the Abbey's cathedral close, if you like. And it's like it says on the plaque there, in the early 19th century, artists began to appreciate the ruins, and it would have been covered in ivy in those days. I'll just insert a photograph of that now. As well as the Abbey itself, there would have been extensive grounds, and perhaps I walked through some of it, through Buildwas Park, of course. And the other buildings included guest house for visiting dignitaries, as well as stables, barns, and workshops. I'm going to have a closer look at that bit over there. Now there was what was called the infirmary. We've come across this before. It wasn't actually as in a hospital we know it today, which was the abbot's lodging, and it was equal in scale and comfort to a manor house of the period. This rectangular shape in front was the heart of the monastery. In this centre would have been a garth, and around the edges of this were covered walkways providing access to the Abbey's principal buildings, similar to like a cloister in a cathedral. Just give you a bit of quiet just to reflect on the stupendousness of these religious buildings here in Shropshire, very close to the banks of the River Severn. And this here would have been the chapter house. This is where the monks gathered for their formal morning meeting. Yes, we have some more mason marks there. SCTW, it looks like it's 1889, so not old I'm afraid. It's probably mason marks from when this part of the chapter house was restored, and obviously this bit here isn't original because it's to support the building there. Such an impressive structure. It would have been a very large abbey when it was open. Just imagine it with the roof on there. You can see the top arches above the main arches there. So a roof on top of that would have given it tremendous height. Just wonderful. I'll say goodbye to the abbey now and continue our journey along the Severn Way towards the town of Ironbridge. We've only got about 3 kilometres left to go. So there's Buildwas Bridge over the River Severn. So it's not anything to write home about in terms of the aesthetic state. Evening light here. That's just wonderful as we're entering the gorge now. Hello again. I really enjoyed that tour of Buildwas. Buildwas Abbey, shall I say. I hope you did too. So we've got golden evening light here. I've come away from the main road now. I'm on the Severn Way. We're crossing to be like a meadow, so I've got Sabrina just over there to my right. I'm going to have to move the camera around that way, I think, because of the low angle of the sun. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, on the Severn Way here, below the road that takes you to Ironbridge and Journey's End for this section of Severn Way 11. Now I'm thinking in terms of next time on, excuse the noisy motorbike in the background, in terms of Severn Way 12, for 2 reasons. Is one, there's a lot to see in the Ironbridge area, and I'm not going to be able to show you that all at the close of this video today, because obviously we've already had extended bits to do with Wroxeter and Buildwas Abbey, but I will of course show you the bridge, so that'll be coming up soon. But what I'm thinking of doing next time is perhaps going to just beyond Coalport, because the original route of the original plan was to go all the way to Bridgenorth. And if you know Bridgenorth is a stunning place unto itself. You can almost do like another video like we did with Shrewsbury on that one. So I probably won't go to Bridgenorth next time. It'll probably be somewhere a bit before it. But I'm not sure yet. I'm a little bit undecided because I do want to bring you more content from Ironbridge. And of course the problem I run into this time of year, oh that's sun again, that's not good, is it? The problem I run into this time of the year is the short days, because it didn't get light till, well, any usable light till gone 8 o'clock this morning, and I because of the buses I couldn't set off till gone 10 o'clock, and it's now 4 o'clock, and it's going to be dark in the next hour and a half, hour and 3/4 or so. So we don't have a lot of time to play with in terms of time to film and bring you content. So I'm thinking about that. So I'm not sure. We'll see how we go, see how it rolls, as they say. Because I don't want to compromise on the quality by just rushing through, not bringing you some of the highlights of the walk here. Because some of those highlights do mean a diversion. And although the route today was 18 kilometres, if you add on the excursion to Wroxeter, the excursion to Buildwas, that's at least another 4k. So we're looking at 22k for today's walk by the time we finish in a couple of k's time, as it were. But yeah, I'm enjoying it today. I couldn't have asked for better weather here for October, end of October. It really is terrific. And there is Sabrina again. There we go, just to my right. Now, that's reminded me, electricity pylons. You're probably thinking, why am I talking about electricity pylons? Well, just coming up was a very famous power station. It was a coal-fired power station, Ironbridge Power Station, stood on the banks of the River Severn, and it had very iconic tall, I think there was 4 of them, cooling towers. Sadly, they've now been demolished. But yeah, that was near Ironbridge, just before this side of it, if you like. And That was demolished, I think, about 3 or 4 years ago. I'm not sure, but the whole area is up for regeneration. They've started improving the site of where that power station used to be, by the banks of the River Severn here. So we have another Ironbridge here, not the one where we're going to finish, but another one, and that was a railway bridge. Well, it still is a railway bridge. Don't think it's got track anymore, and the reason that went into there is to serve the power station. They had coal trains going across there. I'm not sure what year the power station itself closed, which would have meant the end, of course, the coal trains and the railway going in there. It is still connected up the other end of Ironbridge. I think there was plans to open a station at Ironbridge, but I'm not sure what's happened with that, because that would be good to reduce traffic, so maybe that might happen in the future, or maybe not, don't know. But yeah, the bridge is definitely still there. It's not that aesthetically pleasing, but it is still a significant bridge across the River Severn. So now entered Ironbridge, the town's border anyway. Just gone past the Ironbridge sign, just gone along the bit of the road, and we're supposed to go down here. I don't know whether to go down that way or just continue the road. I think that for now I'll continue the road because it is a bit boggy, and I'm really concerned about losing the light, because the sun is just tipping up over that side of the bank of the Severn, and I'm really going to struggle in a bit. So I'll see you by the bridge. That's the bus stop to look for if you're catching the bus to Atcham from Ironbridge here. So it's a River 19, and this here is the Ironbridge Museum of the Gorge, which is currently closed for refurbishment. Sorry, yes, that's it there. And it was an engine shed for a tramway. This is actually the wharfage I'm walking along now. Severn is to the right, and if you look quickly down here, there, you can see where the trams ran along there, and that was the engine shed. And obviously that would have been transporting goods in and out of the river. And everywhere you go around here in Ironbridge, you can see remains of former furnaces by the banks of the River Severn. And there in the distance, well, not far away at all actually, is our first glimpse of the Ironbridge. There it is in glorious red. You can see how much deeper the river valley here. Sabrina winds her way through what is a not inconsiderable depth to the river at this point. What a magnificent sight. As it says in the writing there, this bridge was cast at Coalbrookdale. Coalbrookdale is just behind me actually, just walked past that museums. Coalbrookdale Museums are just on the left, about half a mile up the hill. And erected in the end, I think it was 1779, wasn't it, by Abraham Darby III. There we go, look at the story. And of course it's the first Ironbridge in the entire world. This was where the Industrial Revolution in the world first started. So this is it, the famous Ironbridge, and it brings to conclusion Severn Way 11. Fitting spot. As you can see the deepness of the valley here on this beautiful evening in here in late October. Can't believe how mild it's been here today. Really enjoyed the walk following Sabrina, the River Severn. Next time we'll be starting the walk here, probably going to either well, beyond Coalport, because that's not far away, there is another bridge there. I've got another bridge there to show, which is what we're looking at. If we've got time to look at the former Coalport China Museum as well, because that's worth looking at, possibly the Tar Tunnel, depending on timings. We will get down to Bridgnorth, so it'll either be next one or the one after that, but we are continuing our way south towards the city of Bristol, here along the Severn Way. I hope you enjoyed it today. If you have, please consider a share, a like, a subscribe, or a comment below, either on YouTube or on my Facebook West Country Wanderings page. Until next time, take care of yourselves, look after yourselves, and I hope to see you on the channel again very, very soon. All the best for now. Cheers. Goodbye.